The moment I remove specs, I can't see completely because my retina cannot decipher images and light on its own without the help of specs. At night, I can't see anything. The moment it goes dark, my eyes go dark also. So I'm looking at raising 10,000 US dollars to get me an evaluation for me to know like what's the next step, what can be done, do I have a chance, can I be put on a clinical trial before this grace period of 3 years that the doctors are speculating. Yeah, so the treatment will cost between 100 to 200 million Kenyan shillings after the evaluation is done. And it's just crazy that it's a 30 to 45 minutes non-invasive surgery that is that expensive. Hello, my name is Gloria. I am 26 years old and I've lived my entire life partially blind, but I have dealt with it for 18 years. I've been on specs for 18 years. And for all those years, I wasn't aware of what exactly my problem was. Until last year, September, when it was officially confirmed that I have a genetic retina dystrophy called Bilateral Myopic Foveoschisis. And I'd say that was the lowest moment of my life because it's like I opened a Pandora's box into a world I was not ready to dive into. When you have a problem that you've been looking forward to knowing what it is, and then you realize whatever is standing between you and help is money, and in this case, a lot of money, up to 200 million. And you first have to raise like 10,000 US dollars, that's around 1.5 million, to get an evaluation first. So then you realize it's not even about the evaluation. Like, what if I'm not fit for the treatment after the evaluation? But then still you tell yourself, what if I am? And you have to dive into this ocean and try get the treasure. I am looking at a 3 years window to get this treatment before I entirely go blind. I grew up knowing as long as I have specs on, I'm safe. I can live a normal life. I can do things like any other normal person. The only thing between me and everyone else is just the moment I put down my specs, it's like my life stops. But I made peace with that. It's like I was contented with that. But then, like, you can't tell me I've been putting on specs for more than half my life. And then in this moment that I'm so comfortable, you tell me it's not it. Like you're going blind in real time and it's happening and it's bad. Like that, it took me 2 months to process that. To be like, okay, it's happening and it's here and there's nothing I can do about it. I was like, God, I made peace. Like you gave me a solution and I was so okay with that solution. Why is it not as a solution? And I think I overlooked my eyesight issue. It was normal to me, very normal, until it was not. I woke up one day, I went to the gym, and I couldn't see. And I thought it was just like, I was not even thinking about it. But then when I'm leaving the gym, I'm like, wait, why is my eye not seeing? Like, it's like one side is blurry and the other side is seeing. What is happening? I removed my specs, I wiped them, I put them back on because sometimes maybe ni fingerprint nimeguza nayo, and then it was still the same. I went over to my cousin's place. My cousin lives nearby, and I broke down for like an hour. Like I couldn't believe I'm not seeing. I was like, this is the one thing that I've always been scared of, like waking up one day and I cannot see. And now it's happening. And I woke up and my right eye is super blurry. It can detect light, but it cannot detect images. That's why, like, the moment I remove specs, I can't see. Completely. Because my retina cannot decipher images and light on its own without the help of specs. And then I have total night blindness. At night, I can't see anything. The moment it goes dark, my eyes go dark also. Whether I have specs on or no specs on, still the same thing. So in 2020, amid this COVID, I tried looking for ophthalmologists. I saw 3 within Mombasa, and all of them, they were like, sometimes you see a doctor and the way they're talking to you is already like a red flag. I was like, okay, I don't need this energy right now. Maybe my problem will just stop. Like maybe it will slow down. I was like, let me take a breather and I'll think about this later. In January 2022, I get a new lens. By March, I'm complaining about that lens. And my optician was like, okay, you should come in and get checked. So in April, I get a new lens. And now my optician is like, sasa yule daktari, it's time. It's time that like we become serious about it. And I was like, you know, these procedures are very expensive. Ophthalmologists are expensive. And it was like, yeah, but we'll have to do it for us to determine what is happening. So I start seeing a doctor at City on a serious note now. So we start going through the processes of determining and ruling out, this is not the problem, this is not the problem, going through tests, this is not the problem, this is not the problem. In October, in September, I went to the hospital and I told the doctor, now I need a diagnosis. I'm so tired, I've gone through everything, but I need a way out. Because this problem is like escalating, but then there's no one telling me that we can do this. I was innocently thinking it was something so simple. So she tells me we need to determine 2 things. We need to determine whether you're on autoimmune as a person, and we need to determine whether all the vaccines you were given as a kid worked. I was like, okay. They put me on tests and they found out like everything was normal. I was not on autoimmune. All the vaccines worked and they worked perfectly. And they were like, okay, now Gloria, at this point, there's nothing else that we can do. We have done everything that can be done locally. Maybe now it's high time you seek another opinion. I was like, wait. She was like, but before I give you a diagnosis of my own, I need you to see 2 more doctors. So I went ahead and saw 2 more doctors who were retina specialists, but they were specializing on 2 different things. One was specializing on reasons behind low retina vision, and the other one was specializing on like retina dystrophies. So they told me you have a dystrophy, and this dystrophy from the test you've been running seems to be a genetic one. It's just a mutation, and you need help as fast as today. The rate at which this degeneration has been happening in the first 2 years seems to be wild, and we can't determine why. So you need to find a why and a way out. And now that was the beginning of a roller coaster of something that I didn't know I had buried for all these years. It's like I had to go back and get the bones and the skeleton of this giant and try to piece it together. The doctors can't determine the exact amount of time I have, but according to tests, like I might be looking at less than 3 years if the mutations occur at the rate at which they're occurring right now. The gene therapy is generally to stop the mutations. It will not, like, it's not a cure, it's a preventive measure. Mali imefika, condition yangu iwezi kuwa treated, inaweza tu kuwa prevented from progressing. At the age of 5, teachers at school realized I couldn't read the board unless I was so close to it, and I could also squint my eyes. I had to squint my eyes. And they told my dad about it. My father took me to hospital, and I was given a prescription for specs. He was not taking that, whether lying down or standing up. He was like, no way, there must be a way out. She's too young to put on specs. And all the stereotype around, you're a kid, you can't be having a serious eye issue that you're even putting on specs. So it went on like from one recommendation of a doctor to another, and everything was always the same. And my dad was like, no, you're not putting on specs. Maybe there's something that can be done. At all these doctors had one thing in common. They kept telling my dad, this kid should put on specs. That's the only way out. And my father, being a true African man, he was like, no. I think when I got to the age of 9, he gave in to it. And that was the first time I put on specs. And the doctors never gave me a diagnosis. They just told me, your condition is complicated. You'll have to put on specs for the rest of your life. I remember this woman, she was the optician, and she told me, guard this with your life, because now this is your new life. You'll have to put on specs every day of your life for the rest of your life. So if there's anything you need to take care of, it's your specs. So I knew I couldn't play because I have to take care of my specs. I cannot run around carelessly because I have to take care of my specs. I cannot do this because I have to take care of my specs. Yeah, so entirely my childhood started rotating around. My specs are precious. I have to take care of them. The crazy part about this condition is you don't feel any pain. The degeneration is just happening. My eyes don't hurt. I don't have headaches. I don't feel anything. It's just that the next appointment I have, my eyes are worse than they were on the previous appointment. You know, ever since I was born, I never saw anything at night. So I realized when my sister could say, like, do you see that star? I'm like, which star? Like, you don't see that? I'm like, no, I cannot see that. And I think it took them a while to realize that, oh, she actually can't see things at night. She actually can't see things beyond some distance. So that's when I realized, oh, people actually see at night. Okay, so I started asking questions. Every time I could go for an appointment, I could ask the doctor, I was doing this and this and this, and I couldn't do this and this. And she could be like, oh, okay. Now, Gloria, the problem is you cannot see at night because you have total night blindness. That's part of your condition. I was like, okay. Now, it's like, as I grew up, things started making sense. The first time I was ever bullied about my eyesight, I was, I think I was 9. And I'll never forget that scene. It's like fresh in my mind. I think it's because I cried. And the other thing is because the teacher never did anything to stop that from happening. We were in a science class, and the teacher brought a calendar that we were supposed to read. And you could read and then step back one step and then read again. It was a demonstration on eyesight, how strong or how weak your eyesight is. Immediately, I took like 3 steps from the calendar. I couldn't read anymore. And this girl in class laughed so hard. And she was like, imagine she doesn't see. Kwani she's blind and she's out there walking. Like, she's just taken 2 steps and she doesn't see. Ama she's faking it. And then like a group of like 3 girls laughed with her. And the teacher just kept on with the lesson. And I cried. We were outside, I cried. Like, I felt humiliated, I felt so bad. I was like, nobody understands this. And that was the moment I was like, okay, I might never have to live like everyone else. I might have to like tone down on a few things. That was the same year that I started using specs. The second time I was bullied before I put on specs was by a teacher. We were supposed to read charts on the wall, and everybody was supposed to read the chart seated at their desk. Remember, I couldn't see a distance like this to the wall. I couldn't. But the teacher is telling me to read writings that I written in felt pen on a chart from my desk that was like at the farthest window of the class to the farthest corner of the class. And she's standing there and she's telling me to read out loud for everyone. And then she said, if you're in my class and you can't read, you'd rather go to the previous class and repeat. And I was like, I cannot see. And she was like, you're lying. It's not like you can't see. You just can't read. And I was scared. So every time that the teacher could tell us to read anything on the chart, it was like traumatic to me. Because I was like, will she allow me to stand up and go there and actually read it? So every time that we couldn't read from the charts was a relief to me in that class. Because I was like, at least today I don't have to deal with the teacher saying I cannot read simply because I cannot see. So I grew up and I knew I can't play games with everyone else. In the first place, no one wants to play games with you because you're putting on specs. Everybody's so cautious not to hit you. You might fall down. You might trip. I was never a part of anything as far as physical activity in school went. I couldn't play handball, I couldn't play volleyball, I couldn't play football. The teachers were, I feel like the teachers were hard on me because nobody wanted me to be near anything physical. Because everybody felt like, no, you'll break your specs. I was like, okay. I went to high school, and in high school, one of my teachers allowed me to play badminton, and I really enjoyed playing badminton. And that was the first time I realized, as hectic as badminton is, I could actually look up and down and still my specs could be intact and I could still play. And I was like, okay, that always felt good. Because now that was the first time I got into something physical in the process of learning. And in high school, that's when I knew the career paths I never take. So I I still am. I'm a huge fan of the military. I'm a huge fan. I still read a lot about military tech and development and stuff. I used to say I would have loved to be a sniper in the military. But that's something I can't do because of my eyesight. And I made peace with it. I said, okay, there are things that I would have loved to do in life, and maybe I could have had chances to do them, but I cannot. I cannot even try to do them because my eyesight will always be the eliminating factor. Yes, you have the mental strength, you have the physical strength, but you don't have the eyesight. So it will always be that one thing that will always eliminate me. And I knew the things I could engage in the long term. I knew I can't walk alone in the dark because sometimes even the flashlight is not enough light for me to see. So I had to find balance between finding myself in spaces at the right time, or before it's dark, or before the lights go off. So I had to plan my life around light, generally. And sometimes that was scary. The second time I got bullied was in uni, in my fourth year. And there was this guy who was a friend of mine. We were doing our final exams, and he goes like, Gloria, I wish your eyesight fails in that exam so that you can be here next year. He had deferred and then he came back. Now, when you defer, you are a class behind everyone else. And then he was like, and then you come back here next year to do your second semester. I was so heartbroken. I felt bad. I was like, what? And I asked him, what did you just say? And he repeated the exact same thing. And I was like, there's no way you're even my friend. We can make sick jokes about my eye health. We made jokes about my eyes. We still make jokes. My friends still make jokes about it. I don't feel bad about it. But then when you can't tell me you're making a joke when someone is actively going through something. Now that's not a joke. And then when somebody asks you about it, you repeat the exact same thing. That doesn't sum up as a joke. Like, because the moment I ask, what did you just say? It should hit you. That was not supposed to come out that way. That's not okay. Last year, I went into depression. And it was bad. Bad to the extent that I lost around 17 kgs. And it's like my life stopped for those 9 months and I was hibernating. And that meant I couldn't do anything. I couldn't work. I never even used to leave the house. I remember one time I was dressing up to leave the house in a long time. And then I realized my clothes couldn't fit me anymore. And I was like, okay. It's like I was waking up from something that I didn't know was there in the first place. This, like the uncertainty of this condition has gotten me to doing everything that my mind, everything that I think about, or everything that I feel like I should do, I always get it done. Like if I feel like I need a new skill, if I feel like I should be in this space, I want to do that. Because I always ask myself, Gloria, what if today the worst happens? What if you wake up and you're not seeing anymore? Will you have done the things you loved? Would you have accomplished the things that you wanted to? Would you have had and used the skills you wanted to have? Would you have left an impact in someone's life or even in your own life? If your eyesight fails today, that will be a 360. That will be like a new life. But could you have lived in the life that you had your eyesight? So like the uncertainty is like, it pushes me to do the things that I would say, like, I think about something and I want to do it because I don't know what tomorrow will come with. One very, very important thing that I would love to educate you on is stop going to opticians for eye care. Like your eyes ache, you go to an optical shop. You feeling an itch in your eyes, you have a rash, you just go to an optical shop. You don't just go, like, opticians are meant to dispense glasses. Ophthalmologists are eye specialists. Like, if you could just do yourself a huge favor and book yourself an appointment with an ophthalmologist and go there and consult with an eye specialist who's not a specialist on specs, so that you can know, you can have a diagnosis. You can deal with something that you're sure about. I am sure I'm dealing with a retina dystrophy. You know, I am sure I am dealing with a cornea issue. It's not like sometimes we put on specs without even knowing what we're treating. When you ask yourself, if someone asks you today, why are you putting on specs? Do you have an answer to that? Like, do you have a diagnosis on your condition? Or are you just putting on specs because I couldn't see clearly and I went to an optical shop and I got myself a pair of lenses? Do you have a reason behind the lenses? Like, do you know the kind of condition you have that pushes a doctor to give you glasses? Sometimes we're propagating our conditions by not treating them. Sometimes some things can be treated and cured. Some conditions can be cured without you even putting on specs. Like, it's okay to spend that money and see the right specialist and have the right diagnosis and have the right medication and have the right lens prescription, rather than you just walking in on an optician and getting your specs, and then you don't even know whatever these specs are treating in the first place. My condition is genetic, and genetic conditions are generally hard to treat. Treatments are hard to come by, and some of them don't even have confirmed treatments. But in my case, I have a window of trying to see whether gene therapy, I'll be a fit candidate for gene therapy. According to doctors, I at least I have that to try on and see whether we can stop this blindness from like manifesting entirely. So for that to happen, I need to go through a series of tests, some of them that have already been done and others that I know even available locally because of so many things. One of them is I have a rare condition that rarely occurs in females to start with. So I have to go through some tests that should determine why is it occurring in me as a female. And am I a fit candidate to go through gene therapy if that's the option that I have? What are the genes that are mutating in me that need to be stopped? So at this point, all I have is how can we manage this condition from wherever point it is so that it can stop. I'll have the option of putting on specs, which I'd made peace with for the rest of my life. But then I'll have another one of now the mutations I know it's actively happening. It's either they'll not be actively happening or the degeneration will be slowed down. So the rate at which it's happening will like be so low that I won't be able even to feel it. For that to happen, I have to travel abroad to Massachusetts, I&D Hospital in Boston. That's the hospital that reviewed my case and said they can do more evaluations on me and determine whether they can contain my problem. So the hospital needs $10,000 as pre-service fee. That fee is going to stand for the evaluation, for the entire evaluation of let's do this test, and determine whether this girl is fit for treatment. So generally, the money is going to be for tests and evaluations. Yeah, so the treatment will cost between 100 to 200 million Kenyan shillings after the evaluation is done. That's like, according to my doctors and the rough estimate they've given me, after everything is done, it will go between 100 and 200 million Kenyan shillings to get the treatment done entirely. And it's just crazy that it's a 30 to 45 minutes non-invasive surgery that is that expensive. According to the tests that I have already done and doctors' speculations is that I may be looking at 3 years before my retina shuts. So the crazy part is my retina will stop sensing light, but my eyes will look as healthy as they look right now. So basically, the moment your retina is not sensing light, it's like you're blind because that's what forms images. So I'm looking at raising 10,000 US dollars to get me an evaluation for me to know like what's the next step, what can be done, do I have a chance, can I be put on a clinical trial before this grace period of 3 years that the doctors are speculating. So I'm running an online fundraising to make this happen, to try and get donors, to try and get well wishers. And part of that campaign is this T-shirt that I'm putting on. It's doped hashtag Friends of Glow, and it goes for 2,000 Kenyan shillings. Like, rock a T-shirt for me. And this is me spreading awareness also and telling people eyes can look healthy, very healthy. My eyes look very healthy. People have questioned whether I really have that condition. But then in the long run, they can't see. The moment I remove my specs, it's like my life shuts. So you can be a part of this movement by donating. I have a GoFundMe campaign. It goes by the name Help Bring Gloria to Massachusetts Hospital. I have a Paybill, and I also have the T-shirt campaign, the Friends of Glow. You can share my story with someone. You can donate. You can get yourself a T-shirt. You can send me all the love and all the hugs and all the messages. I really appreciate that. It will go a long way to helping me pull through. I I think one among my most vulnerable places I've been in life, and one among the darkest, yet again, so bright in some ways. So yeah. In 2020, when my optician started telling me I'm actively going blind, I came home and I told my brother, you know what, I'm enrolling for Braille classes. And he asks me, why are you saying that? I told him, I'm actively going blind and it's scary. It's very scary. And the doctors keep saying this condition is complex. So, like, what if I wake up today and I can't see and I can't read and I have to start my life all over again? And he was like, you can't be thinking about that. I was like, well, in 2022, after, like, before the diagnosis, I was like, I need to really get serious with these Braille classes, because now I was seeing myself literally going blind. I don't have a diagnosis. I don't have a way out. And I'm like living this nightmare every day. I was like, okay, now it's that time. When I walked into my doctor's office, I told her, I need a way out. I don't need anything else. I need a way out for me to know and get prepared for the worst. After the diagnosis, and the doctor told me, you have a window and you have this one thing that can help. I always say, in that moment, I died and I was born again, because I felt like at least there's something that can be done. And then 2 weeks later, I realized this thing that can be done is super expensive. Like, I was like, oh my God, like, where on earth do people just get 200 million for a 45-minute surgery? Like, how will I even be able to raise that? Without even going there, where am I going to get 10,000 US dollars for this evaluation to start with? That's no money you can wake up in the morning and say, hey, here it is. But then I always kept telling myself, you know, Gloria, you have lived with this condition all your life. The only difference between now and then is you didn't know what it was. And God knows how much I have wished to date I didn't know what this was. It's not because I never wanted to know. It's more of what you don't know doesn't kill you. Like now, every day I'm living through this. I know there might be help out there, but I can't really get it. The thing that is standing between me and help is just like a very narrow line. It's so tiny that you ask yourself, but why is it so hard? You know, I wish I could go back then when I didn't know that there is a possible treatment, when I didn't know like it was a genetic condition, when I didn't know it was a serious dystrophy. But then every day that I have to look at people around me, my friends, my family, total strangers from the internet, just looking at you. My friends at the gym, like I go there and work out and they're like, Gloria, this kind of strength. I tell them, you don't know how much I want to give up, but every time I look at how bad people believe in me and how bad people believe in me getting this treatment, I just tell myself, Gloria, one more day, just keep breathing. Keep your head in the game. This treatment will come. And sometimes I don't know how. Some days I wake up like I can conquer the world, like I have this entire thing on the palm of my hand. And some days I don't want to even get out of bed. But the fact that there are people out here who don't even know me, but they send me that message, they make a call and they check up on me and they're like, girl, you'll do this. All those people don't know how much they've kept me in the fight. Honestly. Most of the time, it's not about me and the things I want to do as a person. It's all like, all these people believe in me this much. If I'm not doing it for myself, let me do it for them. The people who you thought were going to be there for you, they leave. I've had family question my condition. Family, people who saw you grow up with this, people who should be like, okay, how can we be of help? Question whether you're really sick. And I've had friends and total strangers believe in me and pushed this with me so hard that you ask yourself, wait, like, what did I give to deserve all this love and support? Another thing that I've learned is value every moment. Be in every moment. If you have to be happy, be very happy. I choose to be happy 95% of the time. My sister will tell you, I'll be in the house, I'll be elated. I'll have my own very, very low moments. But the moment like I hit the high, I hit the high highs. I'm like, I'm going to be in this moment. I'm going to feel every happy emotion because I don't know how long it will last or like how long I'm going to have it. Like, be intentional about the people you have around you. It's even not about family. It's anybody around you. It doesn't matter whether they're family, they're friends. Be intentional about the people you have around you. Have people who believe in you more than you believe in yourself sometimes, because you'll need that. Trust me, you will need that. I was that girl who had it all. I never knew I could hit a rock bottom like this. My mom will tell you, everything I ever put my mind into, I made sure I did it. But now I'm here. I was never the person to share my vulnerable side to the world. I'm here. I'm talking about something that I've never talked about for 18 years. Never had a conversation about it. And it's okay. Another thing that I've learned, it's okay not to be okay. It's okay to ask for help. You can never have it all figured out. There are times when the boat will hit the rock and you'll need people to come for you. And in that moment, it doesn't make you weak. To me, being vulnerable was me being weak, because there's something about being vulnerable. In that moment, you feel like you don't have control of anything. I don't like that feeling at all, at all. But like, this process has taught me it's okay for you to talk to people about your problem. It's okay for you to allow other people to come in and help you process something. It doesn't make you weak. It doesn't you make less. It doesn't make you less of anything that you are. I have had clients who have understood my problem, my condition, what I'm going through, and they've allowed me to work with them through this entire process. When I'm mentally drained, they understand I'm mentally drained. I cannot get the job done. When I'm okay, they understand I'm okay and I can get the job done. And that's not a coincidence. It's like God has a way of putting the right people in your life when you really, really need them. Because He knew I couldn't pull through this without having a way out of paying bills and living a normal life like any other normal person. So, like, God knows exactly what you need. And when God's time gets to you, it's God's time. I lived my entire life not knowing what I was suffering from. All I was being told, it's a complex retina problem. It took 18 years to find out what that was. And coincidentally, the first successful retina treatment in regards to genetic retina dystrophies was done in 2017, around August, I think. The first successful one. the first successful test. So I was like, even if I had my diagnosis before then, it's good it makes sense. God will introduce you to your time at his own timelines. It's like, Gloria, you had to go through this blindly, and then now you hear when there's hope, when there's help. You will be shocked at how many people are willing to go the extra mile for you. At the same time, you'll be shocked at how many people were so close to you, but they don't want you to prosper. And still, that's okay. Trust me, that's okay, and that's part of the process. And you will be shocked at how strong you will be to handle that and how swiftly you'll sail through it. You just have to find that one person who will hold you down and keep you grounded. Because most of the time, your strength will fail you. But that one person who will believe in you so bad, who will be there every step of the way, who will tell you, you got this, even when everything else is falling apart, God will give you that person. And you'll just be in that moment, you'll feel every emotion, but that person will help you process and go through it. I have worked on so many things since November last year. So many things. And this year, January, my family stopped the entire fundraising. They stopped it and they said they want me reevaluated, like my larger family, they want me reevaluated. Why do I have a very serious issue that nobody even ever talked about? How sure are they I'm really sick, or I just want money? Like, these are your uncles and aunties saying all that, and your cousins on your face, and took me through the entire process again. Booked appointments, went there and paid, and we ended up seeing the same retina specialists who I had seen before. And they were like, Gloria, what are you doing here? Like, your cases are closed one, and the only thing we want to hear is you're in Boston trying to get help. And I'm like, a lot has happened, and we're here. And then my family is like, okay, we will raise the money. And then everybody goes quiet after taking me through the circles and reliving the trauma again, because hospital corridors are traumatic to me at this point. And they just go MIA. After 3 months, January, February, March. Actually, they stopped the fundraising in mid-December. And now here they are, and they're like, oh, we don't have money, oh, you see, oh. And I'm like, okay. And the day I called, I was like, I went online and I told myself, I actually prayed for like almost 10 days. I kept telling God, I just need a way out. And I need you to give me the strength to move on from my family and just like put them at the back and forget they're even there and they even ever wanted to help me. And give me strangers who will look at me and see me for the person I am. People will not question me. People will not need me to forward them hospital emails and letters and my scans and my tests. People will just listen to my story and be like, this girl needs my help. Not because I know her, not because I feel for her, but because she's going through this and she needs somebody to hold her hand and tell her it's going to be okay. And it's everybody that came into my mind all those days. People I didn't even know could talk back to me. People I didn't even know could look at their emails and reply. I sent people random DMs. I called random people who it's like God was speaking to me. Gloria, just talked to this person. And all those people got back to me. And when I called back and the content director was like, okay, you can come in on Sunday, I was shocked. I was shocked. I was like, this is literally God's time. And it's like, I wasn't prepared for it. God had to take me through a roller coaster of so many things, through a very dark place of family being against you being sick. And then after that, I'm talking to total strangers. I'm calling people I don't even know. And they're picking my calls. And they're feeling my pain. It's a moment I can never have the words to talk about. I can never have the perfect words to describe it. It took a lot for God to show me that now let me take you through the wrong route and show me these strangers are the people you need. The long route of family questioning you over and over and over again. They made me send them all the emails the hospital has ever, all the receipts, all the medical reports, all the tests that I did for me to come out here and meet strangers who are not even asking for all these things. It's just... And my sister always kept telling me, Gloria, don't stress. God's time will come, and the moment it will come, it will be surreal, and you wouldn't even believe the things that will be happening. It will just be happening, and you will be like, am I even in this moment? Because, my family stopped the fundraising, and the hospital had told me to pay the 10,000 USD in December. And they come on board and they say there's no way this fundraising is going on. And then in January, my right eye stops seeing. And I ask God now, why? Why? And then I get stressed out, and then I get to a better place when my family says now they're going to raise the money And then they get to the deadline of the day of raising the money, and there's no money. And I'm like, okay, it's okay, just breathe. And then now I go back to the drawing board, and I told myself, I'm not going back to the drawing board. When I went to that hospital, I told God, I need 3 things. I need a good doctor, I need a diagnosis, and a way out. And He's given me all this, but He's not given me a part of the third thing that I asked Him to do. And like, that was like an instant answered prayer. You know, those hard conversations that you have with God, and then He tells you, okay, I'm going to do exactly that. And then I was like, God, you gave me a way out, but why are you not giving me the means for this way out? Like, why are you not providing?